Hello all, welcome back again to Well Control for Drilling Intervention and Workover. In this snippet here, we will study a very challenging question, but if you understand it, it will become eventually very easy and simple. The question here, they're giving you that during a well kill operation, right? And you notice both drill pipe pressure and casing pressure are slowly decreasing, gradually dropping, okay? What shall you do? And the effect of your action on the bottom of pressure. Shall you close the choke to maintain the original pump pressure? Or shall you open the choke to maintain original pump pressure? Or you just leave the choke alone where it is so that you can maintain the pump pressure? And of course, what's the effect on the bottom of pressure of each action that you choose? All right, does it sound simple or does it sound challenging? Let's find out. Okay, let's first of all look at the driller's method. All right, we will examine scenario by scenario, case by case, so that you can see the basics of what's happening here. All right, let's say now you're in the driller's method. All right, you know that with driller's method you have two circulation. All right, and now you are killing the well. They don't say which part of the driller's method that you're in. First circulation, second circulation, they don't say. All right, you find out your drill pipe pressure and your casing pressure gauges here. All right, see them here, slowly decreasing. All right, what shall you do? All right, let's say if you're in the first circulation of the driller's method. What is the first circulation of the driller's method? You use the same mud in the hole to circulate the influx out of the well. All right, so which gauge do you stick with? Casing pressure gauge or drill pipe pressure gauge? Now inside your string, you have only hole mud, nothing else. That's the one that you stick with, drill pipe pressure gauge in the string. Okay, you hold it constant. You control choke to hold it constant for the entire first circulation until all of the influx in the annulus has gotten out of the well. All right, so you hold drill pipe pressure gauge constant at ICP or with a safety margin above ICP. Okay, so ICP on the drill pipe pressure gauge for the first entire circulation of the driller's method. In this entire first circulation, what happens to the casing pressure gauge? As gas travels up in the annulus, you know the casing pressure gauge will rise. All right, so there's no chance you see both casing pressure gauge and drill pipe pressure gauge slowly decreasing at the same time in this first circulation. All right, so if you have it, most likely because of a washout choke. Okay, that's the only thing that it can cause this one. All right, so but if washout choke happens while gas is traveling up here, I break the annulus pressure into four stages. First is gas travels up to surface. Second is gas at surface peak out, and then the gas starts getting out of annulus. All right, and then gas is completely out of the annulus, right, and then pumping Q-mud in the second circulation. So in the first stage, when gas is traveling up in the annulus, you know that casing pressure gauge will rise. And if you have a choke washout in this scenario, it will be very challenging because at the same time you have a choke washout which will reduce the casing pressure gauge, right? But at the same time, you know, gas is traveling up. The pressure is increasing in the annulus, so they will cancel the effect of each other. You may not be able to see a casing pressure drop in this case. Very challenging, and you can only listen to the choke to feel whether it's washing out or not. Okay, let's say choke doesn't wash out in this first stage, so you don't have at the same time both casing pressure gauge and drill pipe pressure gauge, all right, dropping here. All right, once gas is at surface, all right, the pressure peaks out, max out, all right? You still have the drill pipe pressure gauge constant, all right, and ICP. So if you see it slowly dropping, what you can do? You can close the choking. At this stage, you don't know whether the choke wash out or the string wash out, okay? You don't know, all right? So if you close the choking, that is fine too, because if it's the string wash out, you increase the bottom pressure up a bit, okay? If it's a choke wash out, you close the choking, you also compensate back for the loss of the pressure in the well. Now, this is extremely true for the subsea guys, because once you have gas at surface, what do you have in the choke line? A long choke line from the seabed up to surface. Yes, not much. So what pressure do you lose? You lose choke line pressure loss. Therefore, once you hear gas at surface, the wheezing sound of gas through the choke manifold, you need to close the choking to compensate for the loss of choke line pressure loss. Okay, so here you can do the same. All right, if gas is at surface, you see casing pressure max out, and you see casing drill pipe pressure start slowly dropping, then you can close choking. Okay, so now into the next stage, when gas is getting out of the well, all right, you know casing pressure will drop, but you are not finished on the first circulation of the driller's method. You still supposed to control choke to hold the drill pipe pressure gauge constant at ICP. All right, so this is the tricky part now. If you have a choke washout, you will see drill pipe pressure gauge dropping. Or if you have the drill string washout, you will see the drill pipe pressure gauge dropping. Okay? At the same time, casing pressure gauge also dropping because gas is getting out of the well. What can you do? Just close the choking. You don't know which one, right? Because now gas is flowing through the choke manifold. There's no way you can listen to the choke and say, oh, the choke is washing now. Right? Gas is wheezing through the choke manifold, loud noise. Okay, guys? So, same for subsea guys. You close the choking, surface guys, close the choking. That's the safest way. Okay? What is the worst thing happen if you close the choking? You increase your bottom pressure up a bit. Okay? If it's the case of the drill string washout. If it's the case of the choke washout, you just return the bottom pressure back to the correct value. Okay? Or at worst, but this is the good worst, that you add in a little bit more safety measure into your bottom pressure, which is safe. Okay? So that's done. The first circulation, gas gets out. All gas gets out. All right? Into the second circulation of the driller's method, you start pumping kill mud into the drill string. So now you know that your drill pipe pressure gauge will drop following the drop down graph. What shall be constant while the kill mud is traveling inside the string? Casing pressure gauge shall stay constant. You can control the choke to stay with a constant casing pressure gauge because there is no more influx in the annulus. So it's homogeneous mud, all mud in the annulus. So thus the pressure shall be constant. Okay? So now it's easy. If you see casing pressure gauge slowly dropping, it's a choke washout. It's not a real string washout. Okay? So it's a choke washout, you close the choking to compensate. But you stick with casing pressure gauge. You close choking, but you try to control the choke to maintain a constant casing pressure. Okay? And then if you suspect the choke is washing out, just shut the well and change choke. Okay? Now, after kill mud has reached the bed, start getting into the annulus. That's the time here in this stage. You start seeing casing pressure gauge dropping. But what shall be constant now? Drill pipe pressure gauge shall be constant. Because inside the drill string now is homogeneous new kill mud. Alright? So what you see now on the drill pipe pressure gauge is only FCP. And you hold FCP constant until kill mud reaches back to surface. Okay? During the process of kill mud traveling up to surface from the bed in the annulus up to surface, you will see casing pressure gauge keeps dropping, slowly dropping until the Q mud reaches back to surface, you will eventually see the casing pressure gauge and drill pipe pressure gauge are approximately that same, showing very close value together. Okay, because there is no more influx in the well, and the well now is overbalanced. Okay, so while Q mud is traveling up to surface, and you know that casing pressure gauge will slowly drop. All right, but the drill pipe pressure gauge is supposed to be constant. And now if you see it's dropping, so it either, drill string wash out or the choke is washing out. What can you do? You can close the choking. As I said before, closed choking is no harm. It gives you a little bit more overbalance, which is fine, okay? But in this case, if either the drill string is washed out, you close the choking, you will bring up the bottom of pressure a little. If the choke is washing out, you close the choking to compensate for the loss of pressure, you return the bottom of pressure back to the correct value. All right? And of course, after Q mud reaches surface, well, if you see the casing pressure and the drill pipe pressure keeps dropping, meaning, the choke is washing out. Then you can shut the well and, you flow check and then change choke. All right? That's all about the driller's method. All right? You can always close the choking when you see drill pipe pressure and casing pressures both slowly decreasing. Close the choking. You will bring the bottom of pressure back to the correct value. All right? What happened with the weight and weight methods? Weight and weight method, only one circulation. You pump Q mud, circulate the influx out of the well, killing the well, regain overbalance, and at the same time in one circulation. The pressure regime progress in here is like this. All right? While you're pumping the Q mud into the string, you are moving at the same time influx gas bubble up to surface. All right, so you know that in this stage, gas traveling up to surface, casing pressure is supposed to rise. Okay, drill pipe pressure gauge is supposed to drop, fall in the drop down graph. Now in this stage, if the choke wash out, all right, this is very hard to detect by looking at the pressure. But you can listen to the choke. If you hear weird noise in there, you suspect the choke is washed out. Okay? Then you can close the choking. All right? But you follow the drop down graph. You control your pressure on the drill pipe pressure gauge. Okay? You close the choking. What does this action do is either bringing the bottom pressure back to the correct value or increasing the bottom pressure a little bit by closing the choke. Either cases are fine. Into the next stage, okay? Gas surface. Now, gas surface, usually Q mud has already reached the bit, okay? Because the string volume is much lower, much smaller than the annulus volume, okay? So you are holding the drill pipe pressure gauge constant on FCP, all right? Now you know that the casing pressure gauge is maxed out. All right, if the choke is washing out in this stage, the only thing you can tell is looking at the drill pipe pressure gauge. Okay, if it's dropping or not. But it could be masked up by the event of the string washout. So either scenarios, you can close the choking to compensate for the loss of pressure. What does it do is bring in either the bottom of pressure back to the correct value or add in a little bit more pressure into the well and increase the bottom pressure a bit more. That is also good. All right, you are overbalanced. All right, so no worries about that one. Into the next stage, gas getting out of the well. Now gas is blowing through the choke manifold with loud noise. All right, and you will still maintain pumping and holding the drill pipe pressure gauge at FCP. All right, if the string is washing out, you will see this drill pipe pressure gauge dropping. If the choke is washing out, you will see it. At the same time, you see casing pressure gauge also dropping. So it's masked up, these two events, right? So you just close the choking. The worst you do is add in a little bit more pressure into the well. All right, but this is extremely true for the subsea, guys, because the gas is surface and flowing through the choke manifold, you lose the choke line pressure loss. You need to close the choke and to compensate for that loss of pressure to maintain the overbalanced state. So after gas is completely out of the well, all right, Q mud is traveling up into the annulus, all right. Then you see casing pressure guys keep dropping while Q mud is filling in the annulus from bottom, all right, because you are increasing hydrostatic pressure in there. Now in this stage, if the choke is washed out, you will see drip high pressure gauge dropping. If the string is washing out, you will see drip high pressure gauge dropping. So these two events may mask each other, right? So if you see either the drip high pressure gauge dropping in this stage, you just close the choke and you are safe. Well, the worst thing you do is adding a little bit more pressure into the well, all right? But now the well has no more influx in it, all right? So it's good. You are safe. So after Q mud has reached surface, now it's full whole new Q mud in the well from inside to the outside. All right, then you will see casing pressure gauge and drip pipe pressure gauge shall show similar values to each other. All right, because there is nothing else in the well, just mud, new Q mud. All right. In this stage, if you see casing pressure gauge and drip pipe pressure gauge slowly decreasing, it's definitely the choke is washing out. But now you are safe. You just close the choke, shut the well in, and flow check, and then you change choke. Right? You fix the choke. So in this method, if you see both casing pressure gauge and drip pipe pressure gauge slowly dropping, you close the choke in. What you do is you return the bottom pressure back to the correct value. Or the worst thing is you add in a little bit more pressure into the well, which is good. You maintain the overbalanced state in the well. All right? All right. It looks complicated. It sounds a little bit complex. But by nature, by the basics, it's very easy. All right? You just close the choke in, then you are safe. And then, if you suspect the choke is washing out, just shut the well in, change choke, and then resume your Q operation. And the effect of your action is either you bring the bottom pressure back to the correct value, or you add in a little bit of pressure into the well to increase the bottom pressure a little bit and maintain the overall balanced state. All right, hope you enjoy it, and see you soon in the next question. Cheers.